Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian, joining me once again my co-host Tocayos, Adrian. I think that was good, man.
Hey, what's up, dude? Over here, Thursday, almost the end of the week. Thank God. And just lurking around, seeing some of the latest moves in ligamx. I don't know you saw that Antunes moving now to Tigres, and
Big one.
Monterrey also got Fidel Lambris, and it's allegedly, I don't know, they're saying that Lucas Ocampos might join them, but other people are also saying that Memphis Depay will join. So, you know.
Lucas Ocampos is the one that plays in Sevilla, no?
That is right. One of those Argentinian gems in Ligue 1, then moved to Sevilla and kind of sort of never took off as everyone wanted him to take off.
Yeah, be a good pickup, but there's always those. Monterrey seems like is always trying to get that star power from Europe, right? That's yet to materialize, a la Gignac. But
exactly.
we won't go into that because then we get called Puro Pinche Gol de Tigres. But nah, man, the reason we're here today, man, is to discuss Javier Aguirre's first official lineup, or I guess his roster for the September friendlies. If you guys remember, there's going to be 2 September friendlies for Mexico against New Zealand on September 7th and against Canada on September 10th. So the first one against Canada, or the first one against New Zealand, is at AT&T Stadium, and the Canada match is at the Rose Bowl in California. But third time the charm for Javier Vascoaguirre, man. This is his first roster, filled with a lot of, I think, exciting call-ups that will entice and excite Mexico fans, but also some that kind of are questionable. And then there's definitely are some big omissions. A couple that Uriel Antuna, we were talking about him, moving to Tigres, is omitted from this squad. So let's get into it. Why don't you start us off with porteros, and we'll go from there, and let's kind of analyze what Vasco has called up.
All right. We have Luis Angel Malagón from America, Rangel from... I would forget his name, dude. Is it Roberto Rangel or Ricardo Rangel? I don't know, man. He's the Chivas player, right? He's a current Chivas goalkeeper. I
didn't know him from Tala Rangel.
Raúl Rangel. Here we go. Yeah. Raúl Rangel. Tala Rangel from Chivas. And then this is a big surprise that we'll discuss a little bit in a minute. I think it's Aaron Padilla, if I'm not mistaken, from Alan Padilla. Alex Padilla. Here we go. Alex Padilla. Yep. I should know this. It's Alex Padilla.
Yeah, you mentioned him a lot in our videos, man. You're a big fan of him, but
I don't know why I'm blanking right now.
You're still recovering from your Vegas trip. It's all right.
I guess so. But Alex Padilla, that's one of the big surprises here with the porteros in Selección Mexicana. He just recently made a debut with Athletic Club Bilbao. But yeah, those are the keepers.
Yeah, Alex Padilla, an interesting one. He was quoted by saying, para mí fue muy fácil la decisión, estando con México, con mi mamá, es la más feliz del mundo, mi abuelita también. So I think he decided to represent the country that, his mom's from, obviously. He has a lot of good memories there, and a lot of, he sees how his grandma and all that, has been connected. So that was an easy decision according to him. I think it was also an easy decision for him, knowing that there isn't a lot of competition in that spot going forward for Mexico after Ochoa kind of retires, Malagón being kind of 30 as well. Who's next? I think he just got a big chance of A, playing at a World Cup, and B, being there the long-term solution for Mexico. So good choice for him, and it looks like he'll definitely be Mexico's on the radar moving forward. So first acquisition for Vasco Aguirre there?
I guess so. Yeah, this is the first move from Vasco Aguirre, and also Lilini. He's like the young sporting director or whatever, the young player sporting director, whatever the name of that thing is.
Who do we got for defense?
Defenders. Here we have Julianaraujo from Bournemouth. So it was funny. I saw a bunch of people with Bournemouth shirts at Las Vegas. I don't know why.
Yeah,
just a bunch of them
already. Wow.
Yeah, but they were not Mexicans. They were all English people, all British. So I don't know. How interesting. Another big name: Alan Mozo from Chivas, Israel Reyes from America. Johan Vázquez from Genoa, Víctor Guzmán from Monterrey, Jesus Angulo from Tigres, Jesus Gallardo from Toluca, and Cesar Montes from Almería. Those are the defenders that Vasco just called up.
The ones that stand out for me here, I'll get your take here in a second, are Julianaraujo coming back, getting a chance. He has missed some call-ups recently with Jaime Lozano due to, not being entirely fit, and due to, other reasons. I guess Jaime was a fan of, going with the different route, Jorge Sanchez, but him and going back to somebody else we had kind of criticized, Gallardo. Gallardo gets another call up again. So on two ends of the spectrum, right? You got an up and coming youngster who, maybe deserved more chance, and then you got one that has got a lot of chances because there's not a lot in that. We've discussed the left back position a lot, how Gallardo kind of is maybe one of few, and he gets called up again. But other than that, man, I think it's against, you have obviously Johan Vasquez, Montes, Victor Guzman, Alan Mozo. I mean, that's kind of a surprise, no?
Yeah, Alan Mozo is a surprise, and I mean, we'll discuss this in more detail in a little bit. But yeah, Alan Mozo is a surprise. Actually, before we made this reaction video, I was trying to make a prediction video, and on my predictions, every single time that I looked at the right backs, I was like, all right, I have Julianaraujo, but who else do I have? Who else? And I keep forgetting about Alan Mozo, and now we have it. When I saw it on the list, I was like, yeah, Alan Mozo is actually a not bad option.
I mean, we discussed him in videos past, and I think we were kind of like concluded that he had some friction with Jaime Lozano. And which is kind of why he was never called up. But let's go to midfielders, and then we'll kind of discuss and evaluate everybody later in this video.
So we have Luis Romo from Cruz Azul, Fidel Ambriz, now a Monterrey player, Eric Lira from Cruz Azul, Charlie Rodriguez from Cruz Azul, Luis Chavez from Dinamo Moscow, Santiago, Sebastián Córdoba from Tigres, and Orbelín Pineda from AEK Athens. So,
I think this is where Mexico fans will notice the biggest, omissions. Kind of I wouldn't say a weak, but definitely lacks the punching power of previous midfield for Mexico. Sebastián Córdoba being here is kind of questionable even for me, a Tigres fan. I think he's had better months before, but there he's being called up. And obviously the big baja here is Edson Alvarez, which we will discuss. Who do we have here for delanteros, forwards?
We have Diego Lainez, Julian Quiñones, Diego Lainez from Tigres, Julian Quiñones from an Arabian team. I don't know which one is it. Roberto Piojo Obrador from Chivas, Marcelo Flores from Tigres, Chino Huerta from Pumas, Guillermo Memote Martinez from Pumas as well, Santi Jimenez from Feyenoord, and Henry Martin from Club America. Yeah.
The interesting thing for me here, man, is I wonder how long it's going to be till we see Quiñones not getting the call-ups. You would assume that by him, taking the easy way out and going to play in, the Middle East, chasing money, that these call-ups might dry up here eventually, right? Especially, but luckily for him, there's probably not a lot of competition in this position. So, as long as he keeps performing, he might be keep getting called up. And interestingly enough, Henry Martin is back. I was reading some reports that Vasco Aguirre actually prefers Henry Martin to Santiago Jimenez. So I don't know how true that is. I don't know if we'll be seeing Martin lead the lineup, but it looks like, after a poor summer with eltri for Santi Jimenez, that guaranteed number 9 starting spot might be in question now with a new coach. So.
I heard similar things to what you just mentioned. The other thing, additional portion that I heard was also that not only he prefers Henry Martin, but he's also trying to, remove some of the pressure from Santi Jimenez and just let him know, like, hey, man, I still think you are the future of this team, but you don't need to have all that added pressure on your back. You'll come in as a super sub, and hopefully you get to score winning goals for the team.
Yeah, to be fair to him, he did have a lot of pressure at the Copa America, and he wasn't really necessarily had the best supporting cast to get him goals there. But Adrian, man, what are your big omissions? I know we kind of mentioned some here, but I want to hear, is there anybody else here that kind of stood out to you that, man, should have maybe been called or, was omitted?
First of all, Edson Alvarez, as you mentioned, I think this is if not the biggest omission, but it is significantly perhaps, the most relevant one so far. We all know that I think he played on the last week in Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. He's coming back from an injury.
He actually played against Julianaraujo.
Exactly, against Bournemouth. So he's still coming back from an injury. So I guess my assumption is that maybe West Ham asked, hey, if he can sit this one out, let's sit this one out so he gets fully recovered. I've also heard from different pundits and different other content creators on the eltri space that it seems to be also like a wake-up call from Doña Fede and Javier Aguirre saying, like, hey, man, maybe there were some frictions between him and Doña Fede while Jimmy Lozano was the coach. I heard that maybe his behavior and the way that he was handling the whole, being like the leader of the crew and being like the liaison between the players and Doña Fede wasn't necessarily meshing well with them. So they told Javier Aguirre, hey, man, this is going to be his wake-up call, essentially letting him know that, hey, we're going to run things differently here. So if you really want to be part of this, you got to behave differently. So I think it's a combo of both. I wouldn't necessarily know, but it is definitely a huge omission for eltri. It isn't like we have someone with his talent and experience really available to essentially take over his role, right?
Yeah, I think it's more so the injury than the friction with eltri. That, like you said, there might be something to that. But if there is something to that, that has to be fixed quickly because you can't
Yeah,
have an L3 without Edson Alvarez.
cannot afford
Um,
it, man.
yeah, someone that did have friction with L3 and that's missing from here, and that there was reports that would be, joining L3 again after Vasco Aguirre's, appointment. Chucky Lozano. It's most pundits, TUDN, ESPN, Fox, whatever, were saying that he was going to get another chance, but they're reporting that Doña Fede is still kind of angry with him. If you guys remember, he made those comments after a loss with Jaime Lozano, saying, remind me of that, what exactly was said. It was like that there was no game plan or something, right?
I mean, essentially, he just said that he didn't play bad, that he did his job, and that they didn't lose because of him, right? So,
Right.
essentially, that's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that might be the case. That why he's still not getting called up. But we might expect to see Chucky Lozano again, especially he's still not in MLS, still playing over there in Europe at PSV.
Yeah, and I mean he's gonna join MLS next winter. I guess next spring, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, I don't know him personally, but I can tell you that the word's going around that he's pretty much very mamon. He's super mamon. So like the fact that he complained that he wasn't necessarily put in a first class ticket to play on some friendlies with Mexico in the States, and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's well known because I don't really know. I'm not there. I don't have first experience with him, but it's going around that he's a diva. So I don't know if we'll see him back anytime soon.
Right. So another missing person here, Gerardo Arteaga, Monterrey defender, someone who
Yeah.
we saw and thought was a standout for the Copa America. What are your thoughts here? Why do you think he wasn't
I
called
don't
up?
know, man. This is a really interesting question because I'm not too sure. I mean, I did some research. I was trying to go around and see what's up, but I am not necessarily sure what's going on here. Granted, I know that Gerardo Arteaga is a better offensive left back than a defensive left back. I mean, you can see it in every single match with Monterrey. And again, I'm not trying to criticize Monterrey. All I'm saying is that Gerardo Arteaga has so much potential to grow as a defender, not as he's better suited as I guess, a left wing back, right, than an actual left back, right? And I assume that since El Vasco Aguirre prefers to play with more of a defensive mind, that's why he's going with someone who might be better suited as a defender, like Jesus Angulo, when he plays as a left back. But at the same time, Javier Aguirre prefers Jesus Gallardo. So maybe this goes to show that we were kind of right where Gerardo Arteaga was, even though he was the first choice and Jesus Gallardo was out of the picture. That you and I discussed this previously, that Gerardo Arteaga wasn't necessarily hitting all, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's with Jimmy Lozano. And maybe this just goes to prove that he is not convincing Doña Fede and the staff around him, right?
Yeah. And another one that kind of has convinced a lot of fans, not necessarily PPG or you and I. We've been
Yeah.
critical of him, but we've also given him his flowers when due. Uriel Antuna, who's
Mhm.
been pretty consistent for El Tri, pretty consistent the last couple of years as being one of the first on the name, for the team sheet for
Yes.
Jimmy Lozano. And now we don't see him here. This could have maybe been because he was sorting out his club, situation, and maybe that's why he wasn't called up. It's really odd to not see him here.
Yeah, I agree, and especially coming from an outstanding season with Cruz Azul, where he was the top scorer, right? And we've said this before. He has been the most, I guess, offensive, or the player with the highest offensive participation with El Tri over the last year and a half, maybe. He was even the top scorer for Mexico in 2022, and a top as assists player, right? And so it's just odd to not to see his name on the roster. Um, maybe you're right. This is the case where they were just given time that he sorted out his transfer to Tigres, or even there were talks about him moving to AEK Athens
Right.
earlier this summer. But it's just odd. It's just odd not to see his name on the roster. And don't get me wrong, this is not a complaint. I'm not, as you said, we're not Antuna believers, right? And maybe we're getting what we asked for, right? Because we plenty of times we asked for his name not to be on the list, and now that he's not, it's just odd.
Keep crawling back. Yeah, man. And the last one, I think that a lot of fans are going to be questioning about Eric Sanchez. I know you kind of researched and we kind of couldn't really find his reason as to why he wasn't being called up here. But definitely a big omission, right?
Yeah, big time. I don't know what's going on. I mean, he made a big move to America. He is a first choice in America. It isn't like he's not playing well. America's not doing too hot right now, but I don't know. It's just weird not to see his name as well.
Yep. Moving on to surprises here, we had our big omissions and surprise inclusions here. I want to start with the Tigres duo, Diego Lainez, Sebastián Córdoba. Obviously Marcelo Flores is there. I think Marcelo Flores is playing a little better and playing a little more than both Sebastián Córdoba and Diego Lainez. But
Yeah.
I mean, these two guys not necessarily lighting the world on fire with Tigres currently. Not even Paunovic's first choice. Obviously rotational players at this point in time. Lainez coming back from injury. Why do you think they got a call up here?
I don't know, man. This is again, I think I wonder has to do with how El Vasco Aguirre likes to play. I'm not too sure if El Vasco Aguirre is highly familiar with these two players at this moment. And yeah, I maybe this is just him trying to rotate players and see who are the best fit for his game style or the intended plan that he's looking for. But this, at least for me, these were surprises because again, as you mentioned, none of them have been crucial for Tigres over this season and even last season, right? Diego Lainez is just coming back from injury, and Sebastián Córdoba has become
it's
more
not
of
the
a
Sebastián Córdoba of a year and a half ago.
no,
Right.
and he has exactly, and he has become a rotational player, right? He comes off the bench and replaces Brunetta or starts off and gets replaced after 60 minutes. So
It's
yeah,
interesting to see them being called up, but he's not calling up Ossi. I mean, Ossi Herrera, who,
exactly.
who
It's
maybe
way more
deserves
playing
more
time.
of a call up. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
But interesting. Alan Mosso finally getting a chance. We've kind of mentioned him at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Now that Jaime Lozano is gone,
He's out of the
Alan
picture.
Mosso, we know we had a lot of fans kind of asking for him to be called in.
Mhm.
Are you a fan of this call up?
I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. I know that a lot of people criticize Alan Mosso. I think he's an okay player for eltri. I think he's perhaps one of the best Mexican right backs in Liga MX for sure. And so it makes sense. It makes sense that he gets a call up. I think he's definitely a tad bit better than Jorge Sanchez in the sense that, granted, he doesn't defend absolutely great, but he defends better than Jorge Sanchez. So hey, I'll take that any day of the
And I
year.
know our
Yeah.
Chiva hermanos are loving it. So there you go, guys. And another big surprise is Angulo, man. Angulo, who,
Yeah.
we said hasn't, like the Olaines and Cordova, hasn't been outstanding. But I guess it just comes down to, again, that lack of left backs from Mexico, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And also to another point is Javier Aguirre likes to play with a line of five. So he normally plays with three center backs, right? And Jesus Angulo is a very decent, if not great, third center back on the left. So I think that kind of sort of makes sense. As you said, he's not necessarily hot right now with Tigres, but he's playing pretty much every single match. So yeah, he's a good backup for left backs if you need one. And then if you move into a line of five, he can definitely help you bolster that defense.
Yes, sir. And now to talk any WTFs, any shocking surprises, man. Let's start
Yeah.
off with Luis Romo. Luis Romo, at the spot where maybe, like you said, I think we were talking before, Mexico has the most depth, but yet he keeps getting called up, and Vasco
Yeah.
Aguirre chose Luis Romo again.
Maybe it's because they don't have Enzo Alvarez, and he's like kind of the natural replacement of Enzo Alvarez. But you have plenty more players who are younger that can take this spot, right? I mean, you have Fidel Ambris who can definitely take that spot, but you also have uh, this guy from Montaño, Alan Montaño from Cruz Azul. Um, and you also, man, if you want, you can bring Aldo Rocha, who's not necessarily young, but Aldo Rocha, I think, will do a better job as a number five than Luis Romo. So yeah, I don't see why they keep on calling him up. This guy always loses the ball. He never comes back to defend, even though he's a freaking number five or number eight, right? Supposed to be a box to box. He can barely get to the other team's box. So I don't know. It's to me, it's a big W2F, man.
Yeah, similarly, Jesus Gallardo getting, obviously Toluca now, and we discussed that, he got kind of replaced by Gerardo Arteaga there in Monterrey. And again, similarly to the Tigres players we discussed, not necessarily setting the world on fire with Toluca, not playing bad, but not playing amazing. And Vasco Aguirre, another call up for Gallardo, man. I mean,
Yeah,
similar to Luis Romo, right? Can't get rid of him.
I just don't know why we can't get rid of him. To be fair, I mean, he plays better with Mexico than at club level. He's been having some decent matches with Toluca recently, but as you said, it isn't like he's getting a second win, right? He's not like the top assist player in Liga MX. He is giving some assists. He's scoring, some goals here and there, but he's not necessarily doing way more than what he was doing with Monterrey. So I don't get it. I really don't get it. The only take that I can make is they don't like Gerardo Arteaga because of what maybe his defensive rate.
Too attacking.
And
Yep.
and in addition to this, is you don't have a huge depth in this position. So I think everything works out for José to get a call back.
Yeah, the stars aligned for him. And the last WTF, Charlie Rodriguez. Why?
Bro. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing else to say. Why? just why?
Why Vasco?
That's pretty. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we discussed this plenty of times. We've said that he always continues to underwhelm every single time he gets called up for Mexico. He has like maybe an outstanding season with his club, gets called up again, and then under delivers every single game he plays with Mexico. And again, this is a spot where Mexico has depth to call more players. And every single time we see his name, for me, the only thing that I can think of is why? Why?
There you go. Just how they were random and WTF inclusions, man. I think that that people and fans will be scratching their head about. I think there's a lot of inclusions here that fans can be excited about. Alex Padilla being the one getting that call up. Youngsters like Diego Lainez, Marcelo Flores, even Eric Lira from Cruz Azul. Araujo coming back. Add a lot of excitement for I think to fans that can sleep well at night knowing that Vasco Aguirre is at least trying to get some youngsters in, right?
Yes.
We made that video where you funnily put the title Vasco likes them young. We got a lot of laughs from that title on the video, but we know Vasco likes to. Even though people remember he played a lot of old farts in the World Cups, he did definitely play some youngsters as well. So it's nice to see that continue here, and a lot of these youngsters get a chance. So we'll see how it happens here in these September friendlies against New Zealand and Canada. Adrian, man, what are your predictions score-wise for these?
I think they better win against New Zealand, so I'm going to say like a 3-0 against New Zealand. And against Canada,
it's going to be a tough
I think they'll take – it's going to be a tough one. I think they take it 1-0.
Let's just because I want to see do any spying,
and I just want to see freaking Clyde Laren suffer, dude. That's what I want, dude. I want to see him defeated.
And Jesse Marsh,
I'm okay with him. All right. I fudge with Jesse Marsh.
Well, guys, let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Vasco's first roster for the September friendlies? Are there any inclusions that left you questioning your head? Are there any omissions that you would have liked to be included? Are you a fan of this roster? Let us know definitely in the comments below. And who do you think he's going to start number 9? Do you think it's going to be Martin or Santi Jimenez? Let us know. Adrian, man, as we wrap up this episode, dude, where can listeners find us, man?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. We post latest news, memes, and shorts of our episodes.
Yeah, so be sure to follow us and let us know in the comments below again. What are your thoughts on this roster? Adrian, man, a good episode. See you in the next one, brother.
Take it easy, bro.
See you, man.
Deuce.